Blood sugars, we know that diabetics particularly need to pay attention to their food, but we all need to do the same thing. So blood sugar spikes creates an energy burst, which is why we keep craving sugar when we're tired, right? Because we know that we're going to get that little energy rush. So cookies are good when you're tired. However, the problem is they spike up and then they tank down, and then when you get into that bottom floor, all reason goes out the window. That whole concept of willpower and dieting when blood sugars are down, forget it. They don't exist by that point. It's primal. You need food, you need sugar, you need to bring those up. So when they're low, it's that anxiety and that irritability and that difficulty concentrating. You're sitting at work, you haven't eaten lunch, you're having a brutal time getting through 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Go and eat. Stop what you're doing. Take that 10 minutes. Go and have something substantial to eat, and then get back to it, and you will be able to concentrate on the task at hand with much greater ease, and it'll take less time. The reason why we crave the comfort foods are called comfort foods for a reason. They increase serotonin, so when you're feeling really crummy, you're gonna wanna eat the sweets, and it doesn't have to be sugar, it can be bread. Like it could be a nice loaf of bread that's freshly baked. That could be just as easily the cookies. Whitney and I happen to be cookie queens, so that tends to be where we go to. But yeah, it increases serotonin. It does make you feel better in the short term. What you really want to pay attention to is how you're feeling half an hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours, where that feels later. The best thing you can do for your mood stabilization is to keep your blood sugar steady. Hands down. There's a couple of things, but this is something you actually have quite a bit of control over, because even if you have a loose budget, there are still tons and tons of things that you can eat that are going to make you last longer.
Yeah, it's one of those simple things. If depression is something that you're fighting, let's start with that. Let's start with your food and look at what you're feeding your body. Now, our body processes different foods in different ways. So what this is showing is how the sugar spikes in different, we call glycemic index foods. So something can be a high glycemic index food, and that means your body takes up that sugar, spikes it really high, and then you have a larger crash. So you can see a bigger difference between the higher and then the lower. So you see where you have that crash versus stable. Again, with the green, that's a lower glycemic index food. It still peaks, but it doesn't peak so high and then so low again. So it's a gradual kind of curve. So a low glycemic index food, we'll talk about that, is it's got higher fiber, for instance, protein, so that we're keeping your blood sugar stable.
One of the analogies I use for patients, if you're ever camping or if you have a wood stove at the cottage, when you want to start the fire, you throw pine in. It's a high GI food. It goes really fast. You get a burst of heat, and it gets stuff going. But if you want to keep the fire going, you're going to throw in a log of oak, because it is going to burn all night, and you're not going to have to get out of bed 2 hours later to stoke the fire again. That's what you want to do with your food, slow burning foods. Yeah. There is a time for these, for the high GI foods, and if you're an exerciser, you're a runner, you're triathlons, they have their place. You need those high GI foods sometimes. In your day-to-day living, probably not so much. So what you can do to help keep that curve from being less hilly is to eat regularly. This is something we see with our patients constantly, and even with ourselves, we do have to remind each other to stop and eat. We are a very, very fast-paced society, and we like to ignore our bodies. Our bodies tell us what we need, and then we get mad because, geez, I have to go to the bathroom again. Wow, I have to eat again? Wow. Huge inconvenience to our day. Fat, fiber, and protein, they're things that slow all of that down. So you think of, like, a bean salad has tons and tons of fiber in it. You put a nice dressing, oil-based dressing on it, there's your fat. A half a cup of a bean salad will last you hours. And I mean, if you're in a dieting mode, it's certainly it's a low-calorie thing as well, but and really super high in protein. Nuts and seeds, they get a bad rap because they are a calorie-dense food. That I will not deny. But if it's eaten moderately, it's a wonderful snack. Mid-morning, mid-afternoon, grab a handful of almonds, grab an apple, and that for your blood sugar is one of the best things that you can do to get you through. Keep them in your purse, keep them in your bag, keep them in your desk. There are Even the Del Monte and Dole are making fruits that packed in water. Now, canned fruit is not as good as regular fruit, I get that, but in a jam, it's better than a Mars bar. So, get a package of nuts, get a package of the fruit, and keep them everywhere so that when you're having that primal moment, everything's tanked, that will bring your blood sugar steady enough that then you can make a better decision for what your next meal is going to be.